than generous to AJ?
Yes, I think it's more than generous. I didn't want to go in and start offering them 20% like they would have done to me. However, I really want this fight to happen, as Usyk, the little middleweight, don't want no smoke like I thought he didn't. And now I'm going after AJ. I've already beat Wilder. There's only one other person, and that's AJ, the bodybuilder. So why not give him his 40%, give him no excuses, and let's get the fight made for the British public. The Battle of Britain, who's going to take it, me or him?
These guys over on TalkSport are good. I like how they cut through the fat with their interviews on their TalkSport boxing podcast. I'm T-Street Controversy with FightView360 and the FightView360 boxing podcast. That was Tyson Fury, give or take about 6-7 hours ago, talking about a fight that a couple of days ago when they were calling each other out, I didn't, believe in it. I was like, okay, all right, I'll believe it when I see it. But now it really has some legs. Frank Warren, the promoter of Tyson Fury is a BT Sport Boxing in the UK and ESPN boxer here in the States, broadcasting, who has his broadcasting rights. He issued a challenge to Anthony Joshua to fight in November. In fact, let's pull that clip up for you because, it's a real possibility that in December we could see Fury versus Joshua in Wembley Stadium. So here's the first video that came out on Sunday, just one day after Andy Ruiz had defeated Luis Ortiz on PBC on Fox pay-per-view. Now, if you don't know, Tyson Fury's, retired, came back, retired, challenged Francis Ngannou, tried to fight the Mountain, Thor from the Thor dude from Game of Thrones, tried to fight, there was rumors of him trying to fight Manuel Char, then Alexander Usyk. Word on the curb is the pot was about 150 million, but Usyk doesn't want to fight in December. That's what's going around. So when this clink came out, I'm just thinking like, okay, all right, he's just, fishing around.
Hey, Tyson Fury, aka the Gypsy King, the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, as you can tell. I think you've all heard that I'm going to be fighting soon, within the next few months. And I think that before I announce an opponent, that I need to do this, just in case. Anthony Joshua, I know you've just lost a fight to Usyk, and you're beltless at the moment. And I'd like to give you an opportunity to fight me for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World and the Lineal Championship in the next few months. You're coming off a 12-round fight, so you're match fit, you're ready. I'm giving you a few months' notice. If you're interested, I'll send you the date over and we can rumble. A Battle of Britain for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Let me know if you're interested. If not, I will select another opponent. Thank you very much and good night.
So things started to take off on Sunday when Anthony Joshua had posted this. Yeah, calm. I don't do the online discussions just for clout. So if you're really about it, shout 258 management. I'll be ready in December. So I'm thinking like, okay, now normally in boxing, when you see this type of negotiation going on social media, it doesn't happen, especially when you look at the political divide between, Matchroom and Queensberry, Eddie Hearn's Matchroom Boxing and Frank Warren's Queensberry Boxing. When you look at Tyson Fury is a BT Sport ESPN fighter. Anthony Joshua is now fully a DAZN fighter, 2 different platforms here in the States. So the question is, politically, how does it work? Even though we're seeing that there's legitimate news reports and both fighters want to fight, and even Eddie Hearn confirming, that is looking like a good deal and that things are going to be ready to go. It's just still, I'm wondering, because you just had Alexander Usyk defeat Anthony Joshua on August the 20th. Tyson Fury hasn't fought since April, but for Joshua, fighting in August and then December. Now, Eddie Hearn already said he wanted him out here in December in the first place. So it makes me wonder, is this like a cash out? Let's take this fight now, because I'm with it. I'm not against it. I want it. But I want to believe, but it's hard to really believe that they're going to get this thing done for December. Because they bullshitted around before with the fight, and then Tyson Fury ended up fighting Deontay Wilder again. And I'm wondering in the back of my mind, I want to believe that they don't want to make the same mistake again. Because if Joshua loses again, then this fight's out the window. And this is too much money for both of these fighters to leave on the table. Because what's the next big super British fight at heavyweight for either Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua? Yeah, Wilder versus Joshua, that's a big fight. But for the UK, not as big as, in my opinion, Fury versus Joshua. You know, who's the next big fight for both of these fighters? You know, it's time to get it out of the way. But I started really believing when Eddie Hearn had said this, and this is just from an IFL interview he did, but we can't play it, obviously, but I can play the social media clip of the 20-second preview. That is fair use.
Said, we accept 60-40. So I went back this morning and said, we accept 60-40. We want that reversed in a rematch. Rightfully so, because you're the champion here, you want the bigger split, etc., which I think is fair. And we want to do the fight in December. Now, interestingly, they have December 17, Queensbury, held at Millennium Stadium. So that's perfect. That's perfect for us. So
December the 17th, stadium fight. They've accepted the 60-40. Like, this is Eddie Hearn accepting Frank Warren's deal of the 60-40. Frank Warren was on TalkSport yesterday. In fact, let me play that for you really quickly.
The UK, Frank, good morning. Is it happening?
Morning, Jim. Good morning, Simon, Trevor.
Hey,
Frank.
morning. Hi, Frank.
Yeah, we'll find out. We're sending a written offer across this morning, today to them. My son George spoke with Eddie Hearn yesterday. So it's us who've made the approach to give AJ a great opportunity, get yourself back into the top level against the world champion Tyson. He's willing to make that voluntary defence. So, as I say, we'll send the offer across today, and then obviously they'll have to look at it and decide whether they want to grab this with both hands.
So at last we've got confirmation, Frank, that this is legit. This is legit. A written offer goes from you in the Fury camp to the AJ camp today, saying, right, you up for this?
Correct.
What can you tell us about the offer?
It'll go across today.
Now, what is the offer?
The terms.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not. I'm
Come
hardly.
on, Frank. You can tell us a bit. Tease us with it a bit.
I could tell you, but I'm not going to tell you. Let them. They haven't even seen the terms yet.
No, but where and when, Frank? You don't need to talk about money, all right?
Josh is on the back of 2 losses. So, is this perfect timing for Tyson Fury to offer this fight to Anthony?
It's perfect timing, I think, for AJ to accept it. You know, for him to get himself back into a position, either mandatory or to challenge for a world title, it's going to take him a lot of time. So he should grab this with both hands, in my opinion. But to his credit, he has come out, from what I understand, I've seen some of the things that have been said, saying that he would, he's up for it.
Yeah, very simple.
And that is true. It would be a tough road for Anthony Joshua to get back to a title. For example, and I'm pretty sure that the sanctioning bodies, the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO, would find a way to get Anthony Joshua a title shot. But when? Because as it stands right now, you got October the 15th, Deontay Wilder taking on Robert Helenius in what's turning out to be a possible final eliminator to be the mandatory for Tyson Fury. And the winner of Deontay Wilder and Robert Helenius is expected to fight Andy Ruiz. And right now, and that can still happen before the mandatory is enforced, because Tyson Fury is entitled of voluntary defense after fighting his mandatory Dylan White. And the other sanctioning bodies, the WBA, IBF, and the WBO, their mandatories are already set. So and Usyk has those 3 other belts, WBA, IBF, and WBO. And in order for Anthony Joshua to be able to get a title shot, he would have to be chosen by, as a voluntary, by Tyson Fury, as he's trying to do now, or he would have to wait until the mandatories are finished, which is 3 fights for Usyk. For example, Usyk, the first mandatory would be the winner of Joseph Parker and Joe Joyce, who are fighting on September the 24th. We're going to be covering that fight, streaming that fight. Not streaming the media events covering the fight, but we're going to be streaming during the main event of that card on the channel. Also, we're going to be doing multiple podcasts leading up to that card, and I got to really start getting on the promotion for that ASAP on the FightView360 Boxing Podcast. By the way, take your time out, like the video, subscribe, and also thank you for those who left a review and a rating on our podcast on the Apple Store. So that really helps us out. And of course, be sure to download. We're going to be opening up channel membership soon. One thing at a time, not trying to overwhelm ourselves, because I've had a history of doing that throughout the years. Even though, you know, we got it done. We got our website, we got the YouTube channel, we got the podcast. So we're just trying to get things cohesive, but we're rolling out some new features to where we want you, the viewer and the listener, to be interactive, you know, and making sure that we're giving you, you know, not only just boxing news, and finally now interviews that we have the now that we have the podcast listening platform. So what I was saying is the IBF mandatory is Felix Hergovitz, who got that controversial win over Zhili Zhang, and the WBA, that's going to be decided. The winner of Daniel Dubois versus the winner of Huey Fury and Michael Hunter was supposed to be happening. So Anthony Joshua is not even in a sniff of a mandatory spot. And if he was to ever be mandatory, it would take at least 2 years. At least 2 years. So for him to be chosen to be able to compete for a title by Tyson Fury, and, you know, they've already accepted. You hear Eddie Hearn has accepted the 60-40. Anthony Joshua has accepted the 60-40. You know, December the 17th first, Frank Warren and Tyson Fury, they wanted it in November, but November just not going to work. But realistically, December is going to be the date. But now they have to settle the broadcaster shit. And as you can hear, there's going to be a rematch clause. So if Anthony Joshua were to win, it would be 60-40 in favor of Anthony Joshua. But we don't know if that's been agreed to or not. But the good thing is they're trying to strike while the iron is hot and make this fight. And frankly, I have concerns about Anthony Joshua. Me and my colleague Mikey talked about it on the podcast in the video about if Anthony Joshua is mentally broken or not. You know, because, you know, I don't think he can beat Tyson Fury. And it would be devastating for AJ if he loses, because then what? I mean, the good thing is, Tyson Fury will likely go on to fight Usyk and then retire. And then Anthony Joshua, Usyk ain't going nowhere, but he would then be still by default Britain's #1 boxer. I don't know, but let me listen to some more of this interview here.
There's no room for wriggling.
You're bringing us a whole bunch of breaking news here. Right, okay, Tyson, let's break it down then. You're offering Wembley on November the 26th, and if that doesn't suit the AJ camp, you're offering Cardiff on December the 3rd.
Yes, a weekend.
So there's no way out for him as far as you're concerned. Those would be the proposed dates.
There are 2 dates, and both dates are available, and I've agreed to both of them. And if they're no good, he does not want this fight.
Correct.
So what's your hunch? What is the initial reaction coming out of AJ's camp, Tyson? Is he still with us? We'll get Tyson back.
He's still here.
Go on, Tyson. What are you hearing from his camp?
Oh, they've come back and said the split's more than generous, as I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good. They're just saying, we want December. So I have the 26th of November, Wembley, the only time it's available. Or I have the 3rd of December. One of them's 11 weeks, one's 12. So if a professional athlete who's shredded all year round can't get himself in shape in 3 months, there's a problem.
Do you have a preference, which one, Tyson, yourself?
Preferably, I prefer November, the 26th of November at Wembley, Capital Stadium, 90-odd thousand people. Or December 3rd will be a goal for me as well. Both of these dates have worked for me. And if he doesn't want to do that on any of them dates, then I have another date booked in November, which I will be fighting on.
The weather might play a part, though, mightn't it, Tyson? And the fact that Cardiff has got a fully loadable stadium, a roof, gives you a situation where you don't affect the audience by being able to pack it full.
However, but for the biggest fight in British boxing history, a little rain never hurt anybody.
No, I agree. I mean, I think you've done everything.
Yeah, fuck that rain. Fuck that rain. So I'm interested. And the good thing about it is, since right now, as I'm recording this, it's September the 7th, this weekend on Sky Sports Boxer in the UK, you're going to have Claressa Shields taking on Savannah Marshall and Mikaela Mayer taking on Alycia Baumgardner. So we're already in September. And if the fight's going to be happening in November or December, that means they got to close this deal out this week and then finalize the network splits and who's going to be airing what, all that shit next week. And then we should have an announcement, I'm guessing, definitely before the end of this month, right? Because they got to start moving them tickets. And, people got to start getting their travel plans ready. They got to start getting all that media stuff taken care of. And I do agree, we need these fighters to be active more. Andy Ruiz was talking about it after he beat Luis Ortiz, that fighting once a year. It's not us or our fans fault that these fighters get paid so much that the networks or the promoters or the broadcasters got to really take their time to come up with that money. You see what I'm saying? It's old, and I know it's a big problem here in the States where fighters aren't fighting because there's no budget for a network to be able to pay them to fight. So therefore, they get put on the shelf. Tyson Fury, 32-0-1 with 23 KOs, two-time champion, current WBC champion, dropped his Ring Magazine championship. And then if he was to beat Anthony Joshua, go on to fight Usyk and beat him to be undisputed, he would be undisputed champion, two-time Ring Magazine champion, and retire undefeated. Me and my colleague were talking about that, Mikey, and it looks like that's going to be, something that could probably never be achieved. So if we, and right now it's time, as Frank Warren said, for, Joshua to grab this joint with both hands. Like, what are you going to do? And then you can see that the split is generous for a guy in Anthony Joshua. What is it? 3 of his last 5 fights? Yeah, who's lost 3 of his last 5 fights. 2 against the same guy, And then a win over, a 283-pound Andy Ruiz and a Kubrat Pulev, who went life and death with Derek Chisora and lost. This fight's got to be made. So I don't even want to. I don't think the undercard's going to be even worth talking about. If we're being honest, it's going to be probably full of prospects and prospects and like showcase fights. And I expect for the press conference and media events for Anthony Joshua to get slaughtered by Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is very good on the microphone, and I'm going to be really questioning how confident Joshua's going to be. Is he going to be there for the money, or is he going to go in there thinking like, yes, I could really beat this dude? I've lost a little bit of confidence in him, man. And he's coming off of 2 straight losses going into a big fight, because what happens, is this is this match rooms, look, we got to take this now. This is going to be our last big payday, because who's their next big star? And this is too much money for them to pass up. Too much money it's too much. We know that Tyson Fury is not invincible. He can be dropped. But if I have Tyson Fury beating Usyk because of his size, then I'm going to pick Tyson Fury because of his boxing ability to beat Anthony Joshua, just like the jab. He can jab him. He can probably even beat him left-handed like he did with Derek Chisora. I don't think it's going to, and I don't know if AJ is going to be mentally ready to go in there, but fuck it. You a fighter. You're supposed to be a warrior, so I'm not going to make any excuses for him. Let me listen to the rest of this interview with Tyson Fury. But I've been listening to a lot more of this TalkSport boxing podcast, because they cut straight through the bullshit. Listen to what Tony Bellew had to say. And, I think why. For those who don't know, that Tony Bellew is a big Anthony Joshua supporter, but I don't believe that Anthony Joshua should be getting a 50-50 split. That's just me. Even though, yes, he would be a part of the bigger draw. But at the end of the day, your record is a part of negotiations. You not having a belt is a part of negotiations. And I think that 60-40 is more than fair. He didn't try to old bullshit 80-20 him like, oh, you better take it or leave it. 60-40 is more than fair. And then with a rematch clause, you get it flipped to where you get to be 60-40. Joshua can't beat that. And Tyson Fury has given him multiple options on multiple dates. So he's been pretty much boxed in. The only thing they got to square away is the network. The network situation. But listen to this.
However, the opportunity's there, and it won't be after this, will it?
No.
Because I will be busy fighting Usyk for the Undisputed Championship for the next year.
Tyson, stay on the line for a moment. We're absolutely thrilled that you like to join us in this fashion as you do on our show. Stay on the line. This is what Bellew said to this proposed 60-40 split.
AJ's the biggest draw in the heavyweight division. I'm sorry to say it, guys. It doesn't matter if he's lost twice or not. He's still the biggest draw. There's a reason why he does what he does. Yes, he's coming off the back of 2 defeats. But why is the best fighter in the world calling his name? Why does he want to face him? You've got to ask that question. And when you start putting out offers and saying, I'll give you 60-40, I'm not being funny, guys, but people like Conor McGregor, people like Anthony Joshua, they don't bow to other people's demands because the draw they bring is so big.
Did that surprise you, Tyson, what Bellew said?
No, because Bellew's a fanboy for AJ, isn't he? He's on AJ's hoo-ha. I'm not even going to say it on the radio where he's sitting. He's quite high up on AJ's hoo-ha. So let's say, why is the best fighter in the world, which he knows is me, calling out AJ? I'll tell you why, Bellew. Because the other little guy who just beat your bodybuilding mate, Usyk, doesn't want no smoke with the Gypsy King. He's come out and said that publicly. I do not want to fight Tyson until next year. So, Tyson's already beat the other guy in America twice, KO'd. I don't know if you've seen it or not. The killer over there. So then who's better now to fight than AJ? Now, Bellew saying, people like Anthony Joshua sell out thingies. Who does he think he's talking to? I've got the highest attending crowd in the history of the UK. 94,000 people at Wembley on my own. However, AJ and his mate, Eddie Hearn, are both happy with the 40%.
Yeah, I bet they are.
So, Tyson, you're saying to us...
So, look, he's happy with the 40%. Anthony Joshua, and Eddie Hearn, the promoter, they're happy with it. It's going to be a stadium fight. They're going to make a lot of money striking while the iron is hot, And let's not forget what Usyk did to Tony Bellew. So Tyson Fury's plan is to fight Anthony Joshua in December, November or December, because Usyk is not available. And then fight Usyk sometime next year. And then I'm guessing, he's going to retire. Or if there's a rematch clause, if Anthony Joshua wins, listen, they got to take the fight. And we're going to be here covering the fight, depending on when it is. I would love to send someone to the fight, but hey, just... timing of everything. Thank you for watching. Take your time out. Like the video. Subscribe. I'm T Street Controversy with FightView360 and the FightView360 Boxing Podcast.